Now then, crew, and welcome back to the Andy Mechanic YouTube channel and another video on the Honda Big Red 300 FW from around about 1995 to the year 2000. Now this is a very short video on how to install a new spark plug. You may think a bit menial, but I did a few videos on other models, not just this particular brand, and those videos have proved extremely popular. So without further ado, let's crack on. It's used.
You don't paint something without wiping.
Honestly. Right, the spark plug's located on the left-hand side of the engine. I've already got the fuel tank removed because I've been doing valve clearances on the last video. So you can see a lot easier, but you just pull the plug cap off. Make sure you pull the cap and not the HT lead. Pull that out of the way. And you need an 18mm spark plug socket. Assuming, of course, it's got the right plug in it. Who knows? Okay, that was too loose. Way too loose. Okay, pull that out. And we'll head over to the bench and we're going to check out what the old plug looks like, because spark plugs tell you a bit of a story about the engine and how well they're running. There we go. Right, to the bench. Chum! Okay, so a quick look. When you're looking at your old spark plug, because you may not be replacing it, do check the insulation for any kinds of cracks or what we call tracking, sort of burnt marks down there. If you have, there's a good chance you'll need a new spark plug cap at the same time, because it'll probably cause damage to the insulation of the cap. Now, at the business end, this plug is looking rather black and sooty. Maybe the engine's burning a little bit of oil. I don't know the history of this bike whatsoever, but you'll also see just there, look, the spark plug gap, and that's the distance between the main electrode and this one here, look, that runs down the side. And on these particular spark plugs for this bike, it should be between 0.8 and 0.9 of a millimeter. Now we're going to be replacing this spark plug regardless. It's going to get a nice new one because, again, we don't know the history. This spark plug can be very, very old, and to be perfectly honest, it's ready for the bin, in my opinion. So the new spark plug, and the part number is there, look, this is what Honda recommend, a DPR8EA-9. Now the -9 at the end indicates it's been preset to 0.9 of a millimeter on that plug gap, but we're going to check that because it's not always the case. So I'll remove that, and what we have here is a little spark plug checker, and each bit of wire around the outside is a slightly different thickness, different gauge, and if we whirl it round, we've got a 0.9 just here, look. So that should be a nice tight fit in that gap, and it's probably just under, actually. 0.9. It does go in, but it's quite tight. If we go down to the next one down, on this particular wheel it's 0.75. That should be a really easy fit, and that one's actually dragging as well. Oh no, there we go, we're all good. Yeah, we're fine now. There's obviously a bit of dirt in there or something. Yeah, it's a little bit too tight, but that's fine because it's allowed to be 0.8 to 0.9, so I'm pretty sure that we're all good. That's a tight fit, a really tight fit, and the 0.75 is, well, there's actually, if I move it up and down, there is actually clearance. You can use feeler gauges, but this is the better kind of gauge to use for a spark plug. This one's made by Champion, look. Not really a fan of Champion spark plugs, but this is quite a cool little tool. Right, that's all good. Okay, so we need to know what the torque setting is for this spark plug in the Honda engine. And I can tell you now, It's 18 Newton meters. Now, I like to, because for farm type vehicles, and this is going to be used on a farm where it's really muddy and wet and damp and just nasty basically, I tend to put a little bit of either copper paste or aluminium paste just on the threads, only a small amount, because there's nothing worse than having a seized spark plug in a cylinder head. However, just for the record, NGK that make the spark plugs, they tell you don't do that. Well, NGK, I'm sorry, but I am. Okay, so we're going to use some of the Forch S424, and we just need a little tiny bit. That will do nicely. Doesn't need much at all, and that'll make it a lot easier to get that plug out in the future. Okay, to the bike. Right, we'll just pop the spark plug back in the socket. There we go, look. Because there's a lot more control over aligning the threads. And if there's any dirt and debris around where your old spark plug was, make sure you clear that out before you remove the spark plug. The last thing you want is that dirt going down into the cylinder. That's going to cause harm to your piston rings and your cylinder wall, and your engine might start to burn some oil and lose a bit of compression, which should be really bad. And then just wind it down finger tight, and then we'll apply the torque wrench. There we go. Excellent. Right, 18 Newton meters. Dum 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 dum. Well, there's 17. That is 17, 17 and a half, 18, and don't forget to lock it off. Perfect. Okie dokie, 18 Newton meters it is. And what's happening now is the cross washer, the sealing washer, is currently getting squashed down. So it'll feel a bit weird for a few turns, maybe half a turn or something, and then it'll start to tighten up, and that's where the torque gets applied. You'll feel the click on the torque wrench. And it's at times like this that you hope the previous person hasn't over tightened it and stripped the threads, because that might have been a reason why it was so loose earlier on. Okay, so you've got the plug cap, get your torch, have a look inside, make sure that there's no tracking marks inside there, and if there is, it needs to be replaced. If it looks good and it's dry, then you can pop it back on the plug and make sure it clicks all the way down. There we go, done. So there you go, probably the shortest ever video on the Andy Mechanic YouTube channel. If you found it interesting or helpful, there's a whole suite of videos doing various servicing work on this particular model of Honda ATV. They're a great old bike. They're really well built, to be perfectly honest. Back in the day, back in 1995, they made quad bikes to last. And there's still a lot of them out on the planet being used even today. I mean, look at this one. It was in really good nick. I'm sure it'll last for many more years to come. Now, if you'd like to subscribe to the channel, click on subscribe, ring the bell, and that way YouTube will send you notifications as and when I upload any new videos. You'll also find me on Facebook, and you can send me an email to andymechanic@live.co.uk. And if you want to help support the channel, you can do that through Patreon, become a patron, or you can send a few dollars through PayPal. Don't donate the dollars, don't click donate, because I'm not a registered charity. If you send something through on PayPal, then it needs to be done as a payment, please. Other than that, you can send something through to the PO Box if you like. That's PO Box 6265, Victoria Street West, and that's Auckland, New Zealand, postcode 1142. It's down in the description if you didn't get a chance to write that down. Or the other way that you can help the channel is to share this or any of the other videos, and there's about 900 on the channel now, on your social media platform. Spread the word. These videos will be helpful to somebody out there, including you. All right, crew. Well, until next time, thank you. Over and out. get the thing up again.
Oh!